Hello, and welcome to the 21st Annual Santa Barbara Rescue Mission Bayou. I'm Pamela Dillman-Haskell, and it's my honor to represent the Women's Auxiliary as their 2022 president. The Women's Auxiliary works behind the scenes to bring you this annual event. This year, we are so excited to welcome you to our road trip to the Bayou. I hope you enjoy our program, and especially our tribute to honoree Karl Willig. And don't forget to check out our incredible silent auction, too. I think you're going to have a great time on the road with us.
It's a special tradition at the Bayou to honor a member of our community with the Leni Fe Bland Award. During her lifetime, the Baroness Leni Fe Bland generously furthered the work of several important organizations in our community, the Rescue Mission being one of them. Because of this, each year at the Bayou, we honor someone in our community with the award bearing her name. The Rescue Mission exists largely because of purposely dedicated people who give quietly and generously of their time, wisdom, and resources. For anyone familiar with the Rescue Mission over the past 2 decades, no one has embodied that more than Karl Willig. While there is so much that can be said about him, as he's motivated largely by a sense of internal calling rather than public accolades, we have asked only 2 of his many admirers, John Ross and Rick Fogg, to bring tribute to him.
I have the honor of introducing the recipient of the 2022 Leni Fe Bland Award, Karl Willig. I knew there was something incomparable about Karl when we first met 10 years ago and struck up a conversation with each other about our experience as cavalrymen in the U.S. Army. Karl in Vietnam, and me, obviously not. A year or so later, I was asked to introduce Karl at a Boy Scouts of America event. Among my brief comments, I stated simply that spending time with Karl makes you want to be better. While sincere, I've come to realize that my characterization was really limited. Years later, I heard a commencement ceremony whose keynote speaker charged those graduating to live up to their potential magnanimity, the quality of having a great soul, according to Aquinas, and stretching forth to do great things. Not just great things, though, but those things that rightly deserve honor, those things that are particularly hard to perform, choosing to do so not because you know yourself capable, doing so not for vainglory, but instead because it will bring honor to the proper subject. Karl Willig personifies this virtue. Karl's commitment of time and talent to this ministry have been significant. It is clearly appropriate to recognize him with this award. Thank you, Karl, for the rightful honor you shine on the Santa Barbara Rescue Mission.
I've had the honor of knowing Karl Willig for nearly 25 years. Among other things, we served together on the Santa Barbara Rescue Mission's board of directors, including while he was chair and I was vice chair. Karl's told me a lot of stories from his life over the years. Stories from childhood, military service, education, his business career, family, and church. I love hearing a Karl Willig story. It features points of high drama. He has complete command of the details. The sequencing of events is just right, and he lands the plane right on time. Also, Karl's stories always include at least one lesson learned with life application, usually a lesson I need. I used to be curious about what seemed like a contradiction in Karl. On the one hand, he's among the most confident people you will meet. On the other, he's probably the most genuinely humble person I have encountered. How could a man be so capable and confident while so genuinely humble? It turns out there is no contradiction at all. Karl is genuinely humble because he understands that the gifts he has come from God, not himself. And he understands where and who he would be without God. Karl's confidence, similarly, does not come from a confidence in himself, but rather because he has complete trust in the goodness of God's gifts to him. When one adds to that well-placed confidence an incredible capacity for self-discipline and passion to work hard, you have a man focused on one thing: being a faithful steward of his gifts. So what are some of God's gifts to Karl, over which he has been a faithful steward? Foremost, the gift of salvation through Christ from the problem of sin. A mind as adept with applied mathematics as in its command of the English language. The ability to motivate and lead teams to produce effective outcomes. A devotion to measurement of outcomes and honest accountability. The courage to address and not to ignore difficult problems. Skilled hands for craftsmanship, particularly working with wood. And a deep love and compassion for others. Karl, bless you and thank you.
We live in a remarkable community, and many of the things we treasure or can't live without exist only because individuals believe they should. An afternoon in a park or at the museum, an evening at the symphony, are enjoyable and memorable because of the investments donors have made in them. While we participate in the cost of our education and healthcare, we are fortunate to receive these at world-class facilities because individuals have made it possible for them to be in our community. In fact, this is the means by which even some of our community's most critical needs are met. There are many important municipal allocations and government agencies working to address homelessness and addiction, but we have seen what an incredible difference can be made when individuals like you and me take on the burden of those who struggle and come alongside to assist them. Our community relies on the Santa Barbara Rescue Mission to respond to men and women in crisis. I don't need to rattle off statistics to make the challenge of homelessness and addiction any more daunting than it is. If you live in our community, you see firsthand that an already complex problem has become more visible and vexing. You've seen individuals dealing with acute mental illness and likely understand the strain this places on our limited public safety and social service resources. Since our humble beginnings in 1965, the Rescue Mission has now grown into a $4 million provider of essential services and high-quality care in our community each year, with 200 people under our roof any given night of the year. We are the only place between Ventura and Santa Maria that provides emergency food and shelter 365 nights a year, which serves as a safety net for people who have had the bottom drop out of life. In a typical year, we provide 140,000 meals and 50,000 nights of shelter to people who might otherwise go without. As Christian people, we also extend this care and hospitality in the hope that it might be an infusion of hope and the first step toward change in someone's life. As we come alongside them with case management, connect them to services they need, or address their substance abuse challenges through our residential treatment program. Over the past 30 years, in response to the high incidence of substance abuse among the homeless population, we have developed a 12-month treatment program that melds Christian love, compassionate care, skilled therapeutic intervention, and the embrace and accountability of 12-step fellowships. We are proud to say that it is an unduplicated treatment model. We haven't found anything like it in the U.S., and it has resulted in over 900 people finding new life and recovery. If you've ever had to walk alongside one person struggling with addiction, you likely know what an incredible challenge it is. Nationwide, only 1 in 5 people who attempt drug and alcohol recovery programs complete them. And of those who do complete them, only 1 in 5 maintain their recovery 5 years or longer. This would indicate that we are greatly underestimating the power of addiction and therefore not providing appropriate modalities for treatment. In light of this, we are proud that at the Santa Barbara Rescue Mission, our treatment completion rate currently stands at 42%. And more importantly, our long-term recovery rate stands at 52%. These statistics represent incredible miracles and hope, and there's no better way for you to understand this than for you to hear someone's story of how donors at the Rescue Mission like you changed his life. So I'd like to ask our friend Eric to come and tell you his story.
I would like to thank the Santa Barbara Rescue Mission for inviting me here today to share with you a bit of my story with all of you. It is an honor and a privilege to be standing before all of you today. I feel it especially important to highlight my gratitude for this opportunity because the man that walked through the doors of the Rescue Mission on April 16th of 2014 is not the same man that you see before all of you today. I am a Santa Barbara local that was born on May 3rd, 1987 at Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital to a loving and caring family. Growing up, we had everything that we needed. I lived a normal life here in Santa Barbara. From a young age, I always felt this underlying feeling that something was inherently wrong with me, but could never really pinpoint the exact root of my discontent. I struggled with childhood asthma, a learning disability, and went through all awkward phases of growing up, feeling as though I did not meet the standards of the people around me. Due to my learning disability, I found motivation to do well in school and pushed myself to excel academically. By the end of my junior year of high school at Dos Pueblos, my academic counselor gave me the opportunity to finish high school early and attend Santa Barbara City College for my senior year. I went to Santa Barbara City College, where I studied criminal justice and ended up transferring to San Diego State. At that point in my story, drugs and alcohol had not had the opportunity to take over my life, and I was not ready for what was to come next. I arrived at SDSU, a hard-working student that was driven to get my degree and build myself a life. Instead, I quickly found myself partying, drinking, and eventually doing drugs. My grades immediately took a hit, and by the end of my second semester, I was struggling to pass most of my classes. When I got to SDSU, I needed to complete 4 semesters to graduate, but instead, I failed out of school in 6. My life, my priorities, and my focus had shifted away from academics and towards getting, maintaining, and sustaining a constant state of intoxication. I came home to Santa Barbara after failing out of SDSU with a nasty addiction to drinking and using OxyContin. I ended up taking a job working at a local Radio Shack that provided me just enough to pay the bills and allowed me to party most days of the week. My life was not going anywhere while my addiction was slowly taking over all aspects of my existence. I lived a few blocks away from work, and one morning I managed to get a DUI on the way to work on January 11th, 2012 at 11 o'clock in the morning. My drinking and using had become a daily activity. My OxyContin addiction had evolved into the use of IV heroin and methamphetamines. I believe it is safe to say that from anyone's perspective, my life had become unmanageable. Shortly after my DUI, I ended up losing my job, my housing, and resorted to living in my truck and at friends' houses. The further my addiction progressed, the smaller and smaller my friends group became. I had become estranged from my family, and before long I found myself hanging out with all levels of delinquent and nefarious characters. I was homeless, living on the streets of my hometown, tired, cold, and ready to give up on everything. It was Mother's Day when I hit a breaking point. I was so defeated, tired of living a life that I was living, and I was ashamed of the person that I had become. I remember the day well. I was on the mesa with a lethal dose of heroin loaded into a syringe. I was ready to end it all. At this point in my life, I had no concept of God, and the idea of ending my life was more comforting than the existence that I was living. Now you must imagine me as this unapproachable looking person, filled with anger, resentment, covered in dirt, and a look of unpredictability in my eyes. I was broken. While I was sitting there on the side of the road, there was this woman driving by in her car. She was looking at me, and I remember looking back at her thinking, "What are you looking at?" while glaring back with a scowl. This woman turns her car around and pulls up alongside the road and rolls her window down, reaches out and hands me a St. Christopher from her rearview mirror and says, "It looks like you need this more than I do. God bless you, take care of yourself." She drove away, and in that moment, something happened. I cannot explain the feeling that rushed through my entire body. I no longer felt alone. I was able to find hope. The fact that this random stranger took a moment to reach out to me was so powerful. She shared a little bit of love with me that day. She saved my life. After that moment, I threw away the drugs that I had. I reached out to my mother and called to ask for help. My family was so relieved to help me and get me into rehab. I went to detox, and then I went to a residential treatment program. I was there for 5 months before getting kicked out and ended up back out on the streets doing the same thing that I was doing before. This happened a few times to me. I would get arrested or in trouble, and I'd run to them for help. And as soon as I was healthy, I would find a way to allow drugs and alcohol to take over my life. On January 28th of 2014, I found myself back in jail, weighing 138 pounds, lost and consumed yet again by my addiction. On that first visitation day, my family showed up to visit me, and my father looked at me and said that I looked like a caged wild animal. My mother said that she did not recognize me, and my brother said that he felt as though he no longer had a brother. I was 26 years old. I had not a cent to my name, no possessions to speak of, and my family was giving up hope that I was ever going to be able to get away from this affliction. During my times going in and out of jail, I had heard about the Santa Barbara Rescue Mission. I was desperate for something new, something different, so I wrote a letter. A few weeks later, I received an application in the mail and filled it out. About a month went by. During this time, I had escaped the fog of narcotics and was thinking more clearly. L.B. Chandler came to the bars in county jail to interview me. Excited, I talked to L.B. and told him I was ready for something different and willing to do whatever it takes. A few weeks later, I received a letter saying that I was accepted to the program and was waiting for a bed. I took the letter to court and asked the judge to sentence me to the rescue mission. On April 16th of 2014, LB came to the jail and picked me up and brought me to the mission. I was scared, excited, and honestly had no idea how much my life was going to change. The rescue mission provided me a home when I was homeless. It gave me structure in a life that was filled with chaos. It gave me a place to heal and become the person that I was meant to be. During my time at the rescue mission, I was able to restore relationships with my family. I found a sponsor and worked the 12 steps. I was able to work on myself through the Genesis program. In third phase of the program, I was able to complete my DUI course through Zona Seca. In fourth phase, I was blessed with the opportunity to work this awful job, tearing off roofs, get my license back, and purchase a vehicle on my own. The rescue mission provided me with 365 days of stability and structure. You provided me with that foundation to start and build my life again. You gave me the tools to live a life free of all mind-altering substances that is filled with joy and peace. You've given my family back their son, their brother. All that you have given me has helped me become the man that I am today. And today, I stand before you with 8 years sober. I've been able to go back to court and get all my past criminal records expunged due to completing my felony probation without any violations, and my continued dedication to living a better life. I am able to pass background checks today. People trust me. In 2017, I was able to go back to school and pursue a degree in nursing, where I am currently enrolled in the SBCC Associate's Degree in Nursing program and will be graduating here in the fall. I am currently a full-time employee at Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital, and I'm able to share a meal with my family on a weekly basis. The foundation that the rescue mission provided me is what I needed to heal and become the person that I was meant to be. On behalf of my family and myself, thank you all for my life.
Hi, my name is Joyce McCullough, and I'm privileged to serve on the board of directors for the rescue mission. We've all experienced some turbulence in the past 3 years as COVID-19 spread across the world. Imagine that same turbulence coupled with addiction, homelessness, or mental health issues, or perhaps all three. As each of us has learned to navigate this pandemic, so has the staff of the rescue mission. By God's grace, our team has stepped up to provide shelter, treatment, grace, and support to those we serve. It has been a daunting challenge, and I'm proud of the work done at the rescue mission every day of the year. The faithfulness of this work continues to be mirrored by you, our faithful friends. We are beyond grateful for the friends who believe in and support our work. Many of you have increased your support over the past 2 or 3 years as our needs have grown. As we look to the future, we seek God's wisdom and clarity around how He would have us further our reach out into the community, helping those who are the least among us, who need the healing touch of recovery. With your help, we can continue to find ways to bring shalom to Santa Barbara and her people. I'm so grateful for Eric's willingness to tell his story. The healing and transformation that has taken place in his life is an outstanding example of well over 900 people who have completed the Rescue Mission's year-long treatment program. I'm also grateful that friends like you never lost sight of Eric's incredible worth as a human being and extended hope to him even in the midst of brokenness and desperation. The Rescue Mission team responds to people like Eric by offering hope and encouragement for those who find themselves trapped in addiction and in the challenges of homelessness. How can you and I help men and women like Eric find their way? Your gift today will express your confidence in the excellent work that goes on every single day at the Rescue Mission. If you're watching this video, I ask you to give your financial support to this work by making a gift online today at sbrm.org/Bayou. You're watching because you appreciate the work of the Rescue Mission, and I invite you to make an investment to make sure this great work of compassion, grace, and recovery continues. Today, we hope you'll make a pledge to ensure that we'll be able to continue reaching out to people like Eric every day in the year ahead. As our primary public fundraising event, the Bayou has traditionally provided in excess of $500,000 of the $4 million operating budget we need each year to meet critical community needs. This year, a generous donor provided us with a $50,000 challenge gift to match every dollar pledged or raised around the Bayou. Because we have such generous friends, that challenge has already been met. Now another donor, seeing that momentum, has stepped up and made a challenge of double that amount, $100,000. Every dollar you pledge during this online event, up to $150,000, will be matched and will double the impact of your gift. Won't you join the many friends who have already made a pledge and help us reach our goal? Consider this. The average monthly cost for rehab in the United States is just over $19,000, with some centers exceeding $50,000, which puts treatment out of reach for many of us, let alone the people with no place to turn other than the Rescue Mission. Effectively treating addictions that have spanned decades and led people into homelessness and institutionalization requires extensive time in treatment, like a year, in which case that monthly cost of $19,000 multiplies out to $228,000. Yet because we are a nonprofit and have figured out ways of scaling and stewarding our resources, it costs us only $34,000 to offer a full year of effective treatment to people with no place else to turn. That's a full 89% less than other programs, with a much better long-term outcome. So as you consider how you'll participate with us, please know that a gift of $34,000 will pay for one person's year-long stay at the Rescue Mission. Or if you choose, a pledge of $2,500, $5,000, or $10,000 will provide part of the year's treatment for one person. Making a gift at those levels makes you a partner in the recovery for people who come to the Rescue Mission to find healing and hope. Now, we know and respect that you may prefer to give at a different level, and we leave you the freedom to do just that. Please know that every gift toward our annual budget makes a difference, and it will be doubled. We will receive it with great gratitude. I urge you to make your gift today to help us reach our $150,000 goal. Head on over to sbrm.org/Bayou and make your pledge now. And for your ongoing support, thank you on behalf of everyone at the Rescue Mission. We are so grateful for each and every one of you.